Good morning. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our weekly e-learning session. My name is Dwayne Henderson, a member of Cree Lighting's training and education team and host of our e-learning series. For those watching live, happy Friday. Quickly about the session, once we begin, we'll have roughly 15 minutes of content. Our presenter will be available for Q&A at the end of the presentation. And although participants are muted, we do encourage you all to use the chat and Q&A box to ask questions. Please feel free to do that during the presentation and we'll circle back and answer those at the end. Today, we're going to get an inside look at some of the environmental efforts within the walls of Cree Lighting. And to walk us through that, I'd like to welcome Tim Ulrich. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Dwayne, and
Hey,
thank you.
Oh, great. Hey, before we get started, can you quickly talk about your role in the business?
Sure. So I am the EH&S director for Cree Lighting, and really my role is to ensure that we organization, know what our environmental considerations and expectations are, as well as safety, and not only meet the requirements, but exceed and be on a continuous improvement path. So in the products we sell very much have an impact on the environment, a positive impact on the environment. So it is important to me, personally, and our organization as a whole, that we match that environmental performance of our products with the environmental performance of the facilities that manufacture those.
Perfect. All right, let's get started.
All right, I will. And I assure Dennis I will stay within the bounds of time because I can talk about environmental all day. So let me get to the next. All right. So as you're all already aware, the LED lighting, need another sales pitch. It has many positive effects on the environment and on the costs for an organization. Significant energy savings, significant maintenance savings, just less replacement of lamps, and less mercury either having to be recycled or, if not recycled properly, entering a landfill. RoHS compliance, ensuring that we do not have undesired chemicals as constituents within our products. And for more information on RoHS, you'll see it at the end of the slide deck as well, creelighting.com, and on our, there's a large amount of information for contractors, suppliers, and some of that is RoHS related. And then the long and useful life. The longer a fixture is in operation, the less materials pulled from the planet to make that fixture. Again, not new information for this group, but it really, as part of life cycle analysis, gains a lot of environmental good stewardship by ensuring that what we're making not only is more energy effective, but it's out of materials that are less problematic to obtain from the environment, or preferably recycled and reused. So, the products, again, environmentally friendly and cost friendly. So we want to make sure that the products that we are selling are matched by the performance of the business on an environmental aspect. So most of our Cree Lighting branded products are assembled in our Racine, Wisconsin facility. We also have a facility in North Carolina, a fair amount of R&D, some SMT and warehouse operations there. For this presentation, we're going to focus mostly on the Racine facility, is by a wide margin the largest of our production plants. About 640,000 square feet, R&D, office, paint shop, manufacturing, distribution. Indoor and outdoor lighting is manufactured here on state-of-the-art assembly lines, and that is part of the process. Is the select equipment, the design of the line, the flow of material in and out of this facility is all considered as part of not only the efficiency of the operation, but the environmental stewardship that goes into our lights. We have an 18-stage paint line, has E-coat and ultra-durable polyester top coat. I imagine Dwayne has covered that in another presentation. It is our two vertically integrated processes are the paint shop and the Surface Mount Technology Center, both of which, by having them in-house, yes, we take on some of the risk and responsibility for handling those processes safely from an environmental standpoint, but it also takes many, many miles off of travel for components to get here and be in a state of readiness for assembly. Some of the environmental considerations at our facility: air emissions, wastewater, stormwater, industrial waste, and all of those on the call that are in the manufacturing world, those are part and parcel for every manufacturing facility. So what do we do about it? Of course, first and foremost, we want to make sure we're complying with the regulations. And that might seem pretty straightforward, but the amount of regulations out there is substantial, and how we interact with those is not a small task. So knowing what we need to comply with, whether it's the EPA, the DOT, Wisconsin DNR, our wastewater permit is through Racine, the city of Racine. So knowing what the rules are does take a certain amount of time and effort to ensure that we know what they are, understand, and comply with them fully. But we don't want to just stop there. So yes, meet the requirements of the law, and then move right into voluntary best practice. So we are certified ISO 14001 environmental management system, have been since 2016. We have recently been recognized for 50,001 ready. The DOE has a very solid program for any organization that wishes to embark on an energy management system, greatly assists in understanding the process and how to achieve that measure. And really that goes well with everything we sell and everything we do. Energy savings is huge, and it is a continuous improvement process to identify where your energy is used and how you can do better in conserving that. Again, best practice, we are very good in complying with the waste regulations, but we want to ensure that we're not just stopping there. So true zero waste to landfill is we're in the process of completing our application for certification there. It's U.S. Green Building Council program. It is comprehensive in its nature in, reduce, reuse, recycle really do matter. So all the way from supply chain R&D, are you designing your product to ensure you're not creating waste or unnecessary byproduct? All the way through the grave portion of cradle to grave, the recycling. Has your recycler performed best of the materials given them? And along with that, we're not going to focus on it in this conversation, but ISO 45001 safety management system. It is part of how we do business, making sure that we take care of our employees. All right, so we're going to cover 14,001, but a lot of the standards are very, very similar in nature. So if we want to ensure we're improving year over year in our environmental performance, it is to ensure that that occurs. So this environmental management system provides a framework for that. Clauses do you need to meet? Very much like ISO 9001, there is a set of actions clauses that you have to live up to, say what you do what you say, measure your results, and ensure you're continually improving. For environmental in particular, we have to identify our environmental impacts and establish controls. So knowing what our risks are and making sure that we have plans in place to mitigate those, ensure we don't have a negative impact on the environment. Monitor and communicate. It is not an annual event where we take a look and see how we're doing. Every week there's requirements and metrics. Every month there's requirements and metrics to ensure that throughout the year we are heading in the right direction to achieve our goals as described. The communication portion, there's many interested parties, and that can be customers, of course, supply chain, community really needs to know that we are doing well with our environmental stewardship. So getting the right communication to the right people at the right time, and then just ensuring that there is that continuous improvement cycle. Some of our more specific environmental considerations here. For air, we do have an air permit. There is a certain emissions coming out of this facility. Our goal is to, from the front end, ensure we're not bringing in anything that would cause an unnecessary amount of emissions. So, supply chain involvement, all the way through handling our chemicals in-house to ensure that we're not allowing any unnecessary evaporation or otherwise. For water, we are in the Great Lakes watershed, Lake Michigan in particular. So the water we use in our process, it exceeds the requirements of our permit, and everyone living in this neighborhood appreciates that, since what comes out of our facility goes through treatment and then is going to come out of our taps at some point. For waste, we are a small quantity generator here in North Carolina. What that is kind of a guilty until proven innocent model. For those of you that are in the hazardous waste world, it takes a lot of effort to ensure that you're recording and handling your waste in a manner that won't have a negative impact or push you over the limits. Along with that, the zero waste to landfill efforts are very important to ensure that there is really nothing here that goes to landfill that doesn't have somewhere else better to go. And the last leg of that is emergency preparedness for those times where there is an undesired condition or event, ensuring we have the personnel and equipment to respond to that effectively. So some of those controls beyond compliance, talked a little bit about 50,001 ready through the DOE. So for air, 50,001 ready is kind of the big boy. Any electricity working is probably coming out of a smokestack somewhere. 14,001 also plays a role in that and ensuring we are complying with laws as well as conserving energy. Water, again, we have the wastewater permit, but to ensure we're going beyond regulatory, 14,001 very much looks into how we are, not only following the regulations, but improving our performance year over year. For stormwater, we do not have water permit. We've achieved no exposure certifications in our facilities. Again, and that takes some time commitment to to monitor and ensure things don't start being stored outside. And, for all of these topics, we have an external environmental audit. We bring in a consultant to do a deep dive into our processes and compliance and best practice and tell us what we can do better. It is money well spent every year and it ensures that we are eyes wide open in our efforts to improve. Zero waste to landfill, covered that pretty well. It is, if anyone wants to converse, after this session or otherwise, feel free to get a hold of me. There's many benefits to the zero waste to landfill. Cost is one of them. Everything that goes to landfill is at least 3 cents a pound. So there's many reasons to have it go somewhere else. To achieve these things, the H&S policy, really a lot of verbiage that has a lot of meaning, but the summary is be good to people and be good to the planet. And to get to that point, all of these, the policy and procedures assist. So this is the say what you do portion, and then the implementation is do what you say. Safety, again, not going to cover it in depth, but it would be advised to have excellent environmental performance and neglect the safety side. The two go hand in hand, and we have many efforts in place to drive our safety improvements. And we're also in the process of implementing a ISO 45001 SMS. Whether we determine to go through certification or not is for the future. Environmental snapshot, again, zero notice of violation, not an easy target to continue achieving year over year, but the processes we have in place make it a little bit less risk every year. 50,001 ready, again, make sure we are good stewards of the electricity and gas used in our processes. Maintaining certification. 14,001 is the formal certification audited externally annually. 50,001 is a compliance through the DOE, great program. Zero waste to landfill is a certification and that will also be audited annually, externally. Covered it, for the most part, but the entirety of, how do we do business to ensure we are not only being good to people, but good to the and continuing to improve is ensuring that we have a system in place to address the risks. So environmental, 14,001 makes the most sense, certified since 2016. Energy, 50,001 ready since May. Waste, we're in the process of certifying, and we've been over 90% landfill diversion for over 2 years. Implementing a safety management system, and our metrics continue to improve. In the future, risk management, 31,001, probably not certified, but at least compliant with the standard, and same thing with facilities management. It is Earth Week here at Cree Lighting in Racine, Wisconsin. We hold an annual event to encourage employees to recycle those electronics and other things that might have been hanging out in their basement for quite a while. Educate on where the local chemical drop-offs are. Some of the more household waste, including, fluorescent bulbs. What do I do with this mercury thermometer? We educate our employees to engage with us. We'll receive a certain amount of those materials, as well as work with our supply chain to make the rest of them go where they're supposed to go, and the community for the community chemical drop-off. And where from here? So we are doing pretty good. It looks like I'm about 30 seconds over time, so I'm going to move quick. The next steps are going to be working on a corporate sustainability report that will tie all of these efforts together in a manner that is reader friendly for anyone that wants to see how is Cree Lighting living up to its environmental, regulatory compliance and continuous improvement efforts. Some can be found already on the Cree Lighting webpage. So there's a lot of good information on there on the contractor information side, supplier resources, and then into the sustainability portion. One of those will be covered in a future sustainability report. This is from a previous one. Life cycle analysis, again, everything from how the materials are obtained to the amount of time it spends in the field and how much impact that has on the environment. All right, and with that, I'll turn it back over to Dwayne.
Great, thank you, Tim, appreciate it. All right, so group, if you have any questions, please again use the chat or Q&A box to get those done. Question coming in, what percentage of the materials going into our finished products are from recycled materials? Is that something we track or could comment on?
Not as elegant in tracking that as we will be. It's a great question. And the life cycle analysis takes a lot of that into account. So aluminum, yes, at least 25% content is recycled, which I know is not a high bar. The best answer is pretty good. We don't document as well as we should, and that answer will show up in a future corporate sustainability report.
All right, and I don't know if you can comment on this, Tim, or not, but compared with other manufacturers, I guess both within the lighting industry and outside of our industry, how do you think we're doing?
Benchmarking, we are doing quite well, and I'm always hesitant to overstate our success for fear of something going wrong. But the combination of having a certified environmental management system externally validated, that matters. Combine that with the 50,001 ready, that's a smaller crowd. Add zero waste to landfill certification through U.S. Green Building Council, smaller crowd. And not that there's no other organizations that achieve that or are on that path, but it is a very just effort to continue to be the company looked to for how to achieve not only great products, but great environmental performance.
Yeah, so if I'm a seller of lighting products and looking for something to separate maybe me from the competition, I think the work that we're doing, we don't have to be embarrassed by our efforts that we put into our sustainability, correct?
Oh, no, I would, I'm unable to perfectly benchmark right now against our competition. It is something that every industry should strive for. So the competition should be encouraged, and we should always be in the forefront.
Yeah, we would love everybody, every company, both within and outside our industry, to be doing.
Absolutely,
for sure. From a selling standpoint, if you're working with a municipal government or maybe a larger corporation with sustainability officers, or somebody's a user that has a strong environmental concern or preference to those types of products, I think that's where your efforts and the efforts of the team and really everybody within the organization can be leveraged, right? For from a selling standpoint. Am I wrong to think about it that way?
No, you're absolutely. You bring up another point. This is not the Tim Ulrich solo effort. Every person in this organization absolutely contributes to the success of all of our environmental programs. Everyone recycles, for example. Our as how that can be, discussed further with any other, organizations, sales groups. It'll be, best packaged in a future corporate sustainability report. Meantime, though, I would love to benchmark with others within the industry or not, and compare, contrast, and take advice and give advice on what has worked and what, ways to implement more easily and in a more sustainable manner.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, our efforts, and we've been going at this for quite a while, but is the recycling efforts, and I didn't really think of that, like when you had mentioned before landfills and thinking that costs us money to send things to landfills, but is there a revenue enhancer for the business? Is it more revenue neutral, or how does the business kind of look at these environmental efforts?
It's a tough pin down if you include the man hours. It's hard to get your hands around that, but if someone is throwing something into a receptacle, it's going to take the same amount of time. So I try to look at the amount of time for the production individuals or anyone in an office setting or otherwise on the placing an item in a bin. You're going to place it in a bin one way or another. Where it goes from there is what is having the right bins in the right locations and the right level of convenience and the right level of support to ensure that you know what goes where. All the materials are going to get handled one way or another. As sometimes everything goes to landfill. Not a great idea. 3 cents a pound or more. And when you get into the haz waste, that's much higher costs associated with that. Cardboard, baled will get you money, compacted won't. There is many reasons to do the right thing, and economics is one of them. Simply either tossing or compacting all your cardboard isn't really the greatest revenue generator. You bale it, it's a commodity, it's sold. There are some touches to get it there, but I believe that designed well, the system can be minimally neutral, depending on, your facility could be a slight positive. It depends on the market as well. If you have a lot of metal coming out of your facility, it can be a point of revenue generation with air quotes there, because you paid for the metal at one point in time. Bottom line, if you avoid landfill, you avoid 3 cents a pound. So start being creative about what can go where. Even if it goes away for free and you've had a little bit of time committed to get it to the right container in the right spot to give it away for free, that's still better than landfill costs. Not only from a philosophical point of view, but just cost point of view.
Yeah, I think most employees, I mean, me as a Cree Lighting employee, I love the fact that we're selling products that have some environmental good, but I also appreciate, as a business that we don't gum up the works on the front end of that product getting to the marketplace, and the efforts that the business takes. And for some employees, they care. I think everybody cares a little, and some will really care a lot. So even from the ability to recruit people and people wanting to be part of a larger good of how they're putting bread on the table. I think there's certainly some value for that for companies as well that are trying to figure out what they might want to do in this category. I think the other thing that we are we have, I don't know what the percentage is, but certainly have a lot of a local supply content, and you kind of mentioned having a painting facility and SMT within our factory today, and the transit time that it would take to work with an outside vendor to do some of that stuff. So do you ever get into those types of discussions about distance travel and getting it to the contractor's hands and getting it installed and all the energy that it takes to make that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is in a well done life cycle analysis. All of those various considerations have to be in there, and in those calculations. What is every mile going to cost you in carbon emissions? And for no matter what program we're talking about, it is always the goal of a win-win-win. Better for the company, better for the environment, better for the customer. By insourcing and vertically integrating some of these processes, we've made the ability to get our product to the customer much faster, better quality, fewer miles, etc. Not the primary, environmental considerations might not be the primary driver, but the win-win needs to be across the board. And that can take a little more work to show how it is a win for everyone involved. But done well, it usually turns out that way.
Yeah, and I think we kind of touched on it too, but to be successful, if companies are thinking about this path, it does take, buy-in at all levels of the organization. It can't be one or two people. It has to be from the top down. Everybody's got to believe in what we're doing and be committed to going down this path.
Mm-hmm. And thankfully, through what we do, sell our product line, our vision for the future, most people that are here are already aligned. So it's an easy sell to talk about energy when your product line saves a lot of energy. It's very easy to talk about being a good environmental steward when that is already built into the product and the marketing. So there's many reasons, to be a good environmental steward besides what it brings from a sales standpoint. It's just good business and good economics. We are positioned, and most people that are already working here are part of that culture already.
Perfect. Hey, just a real quick to close it up before we move to the next slide. If you do have any questions or need any help, Tim's email address is on the screen right now. A long-term plan, as Tim mentioned, is to have a sustainability page that will be, and we do have some of that today and Tim highlighted. But if you do need more information today, please don't be afraid to ask questions, and we'll do what we can to help give you all the information you need to help satisfy what customers might be interested in the marketplace today. With that, Tim, do you want to advance to the next slide? Well, I'll close up shop for the week.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I do want to thank Tim for his time and effort, certainly within our facility. I also want to thank the audience for joining us. Looking ahead at the next couple of weeks, next Friday, we'll have an application session on outdoor lighting for airport environments. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll be looking at dynamic lighting in the education space. Again, all content is being recorded and posted to our Cree Lighting YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you subscribe. With that, thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and have a great weekend.